How often do we ask our clients, how are you feeling? And the answer is, I don't know. Or what do you need? And again, the answer is, I don't even know what a need is. What should I need? We've developed the core needs cards to explore what we do need in childhood for secure attachment and healthy development. We've got 26 cards that we want to introduce you to, and I'm going to show you some of them now. And we've divided them into practical needs and emotional needs, because some clients come feeling almost guilty they're in therapy because they had a great childhood. So for example, there was always food on the table, they had plenty of clothes, they were well looked after practically, their practical needs were met. They had a home, there was a safe place to call home. Fundamental needs, and so they, as I said, can even feel guilty about being in therapy. But the cards go wider than that, and we're going to explore a number of things that maybe they didn't get in childhood that were really important. When I think about my own childhood, one of the cards is a love of nature, discovering and enjoying the beauty of the natural world. And I remember going out in the car with my parents to the Lake District or the daffodil fields in spring, and how that stayed with me as a good time we had together. We didn't have much money, but my parents would give me their last penny. I always knew they would be there, even if they didn't have much themselves. I think there are times when we look back and it's quite hard to remember what was important, what was good in childhood. For me, creativity has always been praised. Maybe that's why I'm doing the cards now for you, because the creativity has always been there, and my parents loved my drawing skills and encouraged me all the time. Now when we come to some of the emotional needs, it gets a bit more complicated sometimes. Physical comfort, safe and tender touch, cuddles and soothing. My mum was very good at that. My father not so good. What about being celebrated, feeling special? I have clear memories of birthday parties. I also have clear memories of Christmas being quite stressful at times. And again, it can be, on the one hand it was good, on the other hand there were times when it wasn't so good. Another card we've got here, which I think is quite interesting, is kindness when ill. Comfort and care offered in sickness. For some clients, the only time they really got attention and any kind of warmth was when they were sick. That's interesting. What about education? Education was greatly valued in my home. My parents both wanted my sister and me to go to university, and we did, and they were very proud of us. My own parents didn't have much education, it just wasn't the times when that was possible for them, but for us that was valued. Knowing my life has meaning and having a purpose in life. Determination, not giving up. What was that like for you? Do you feel that was given to you by your parents when you were growing up and young? Or was it, oh, you'll never amount to anything? So what did that do for your self-worth? Knowing I am loved just as I am. That's such a big deal. But many people don't have that. And were you able to express your feelings? Feelings are okay. You can cry, you can get angry. The emotions are understood and validated, and I was allowed to express them. We've tried to make the cards as inclusive as possible. So you might have noticed on celebrated, we didn't put the words Christmas or birthdays on because some cultures do things differently. And we just wanted a sense of being special, of being the focus for a day or a particular festival. There is one here called privacy, where physical and emotional space were respected and boundaries kept. That's quite a big one, particularly for those who have a very troubled and painful childhood. Hope you're getting the sense of what the cards cover. There's 26 of them. These are what we call the green label cards for childhood. Who met my needs in childhood? You can see mother, father, sister, brother, key relationships in the family? Was there a grandparent for a step-parent or friends or someone else and so on? Now, if I was looking at my childhood, I would take out brother, I would take out step-parent. I'm actually going to take out grandparent. There was only one grandparent I knew reasonably well, and I wasn't close to her. So just for simplicity, I'll take that out. And you'll see that there's a line of possible people who met those needs or things, school or a teacher. And I'm keeping in those cards. I found this for myself. I didn't get it at all, and it was complicated. So what I would do if I was the client, my counsellor would just hand me the pack of cards and say, start at the beginning. How about physical protection? Did you feel physically protected? Well, I think I said earlier that was my sister's job when I was small. Of course, my parents did as well, but she was always asked to look after me. I'm not sure she really appreciated that, as I think I said. But then the next one is, the love of nature is quite easy because that was Dad. And he would take us out in the car, as I said earlier. The next card that has come up is financial help. That was definitely my father and my mother met that need in me as well when I was small. Even though we had very little money, we were a family who learnt to be generous and to give from what we had. Physical comfort is the next card, and that would be my mum. And I said that my dad didn't give me physical comfort. There were many things he did give me, but physical comfort definitely stays over in mum's compartment, if you like. Acceptance, this is a card I'm going to choose next. What was that? Well, I would say that was complicated. I'll just move these other cards, labels away for a moment. I was accepted, I think, if I was a good girl. I never really tested that. I was a good girl. And I felt that if I got things right, then I was okay. If I made mistakes, I always felt that I'd lost something somehow. I had a lot of kindness when ill. I would put them both in that category, mum and dad, because I was ill quite a lot as a child. And so you carry on going through the cards in any order, there's no set order, and seeing what was provided for you that made your childhood safe, secure, or perhaps unsafe and painful. And I guess the key card, I didn't get this at all, is the most interesting one. The next stage of using the cards introduces the pink adulthood labels. Things change in life. Even relationships with parents can change as they get older, perhaps more mellow, we might say. The relationships are different. Grandparents die. Again, I'll take out step-parent, grandparent and brother here. And adult education, it can be it's significant, but it's not so significant for me. I've become a teacher myself, if you like, which is interesting. But we've introduced now a spouse or a partner, which will apply to some people, obviously not everybody, and children. And I have stepchildren who I love very much, and so they're a very key part of my life. Friends probably have changed. I don't have a pet anymore, although I borrow my friend's dog, Belle, who is very important in my life. And my faith has changed as I've got older. It's slightly different from it was in childhood, which was very rigid. And we've now got, I found this for myself, it's complicated. I'm still not getting this met, and I'm working on it cards. This allows for things to change. It allows for people to have perhaps been in therapy, to have different sets of friends, different kinds of relationships, which have been much more healthy. There is more choice as we get older. This is particularly valuable to do in therapy, as you can use this as a review tool. Where have you got to now since working so hard in counselling? So if I look at some of the cards, for instance, where has my acceptance got to? Do I really believe that no matter what I do, I always belong? I would say
that I'm still working on that. I've got a very strong good girl script inside there that I do have to be right to be fully accepted, which is quite an interesting one. It's better, it's different, but that for me is still, I'm working on it. Now, physical comfort, which my mum has died now, so both my parents have died. I will take them out now for how it is actually at this moment. I get this from a lot of areas. I get it from my spouse, I do get it from my children, but I get it from my sister, I get it from my friends. I'm very easy with physical comfort, and I can receive and give hugs and cuddles. It's really, really nice to see how many people provide this for me. Privacy in childhood was difficult because we were very poor and we were very crowded with a lot of us in a small space. And I'm much more able to get that. I find this myself. I can make sure I get my needs met, my need for space, my need for solitude. I'm much better at that myself. I would say, yeah, I've done that. Quality time, yeah, I put that with my husband Chris, that we do make sure we have good times together, whether it's going to the cinema or going out to the country or the sea or something like that. Holidays are important to us. And you can see how things have changed. Now, that's very interesting because quality time was on I didn't get this at all in childhood. And now I can see I am getting it met. And I do prioritise quality time with my friends as well. So I would put them in there as well. And it's comforting to me to see that things have changed. This is just a very quick overview of how things might change. And one of the aspects of this exercise is to celebrate, wow, look what you've done. Look how you've worked hard to make that different now, so that your experience of life and relationships are different from childhood. And it's a question of celebrating that. Well done. So that was the pink cards. And again, these three, I'm still not getting these needs met in adulthood. It's probably the focus of the therapy. This is what you're going to be working on as you continue counselling. And then it's complicated is one of my favourite cards. I could sometimes put it's complicated for everything because life isn't straightforward. But this is quite hopeful. Hey, I'm working on it. I'm changing. And always giving the possibility of change brings hope. It means that my life now and in the future can look different from how it did when I was small. These can be a kind of diagnostic tool. You could do it quite early in the therapy, although be careful not to overwhelm a client. If they suddenly see that none of their needs were met, that could be very painful and difficult. So you make a judgment call on that. You know your client, you have a relationship with your client. When you introduce these cards is important as well. But it is also a review tool, a chance to see, wow, you have done so well. Look at how much has changed. That's brilliant. You have much more say now in what your life looks like. And that can be hugely encouraging, both for client and counsellor. So I really hope you found this interesting. And if you would like to buy the cards, then I will give you some ways of doing that in a moment. Many people have been using them, many counsellors, and finding them very effective in bringing up all kinds of feelings and information that you weren't able to get before. And I do hope that, thank you for watching, I do hope you've enjoyed it and that it's been helpful. So what do you get if you order the Core Needs cards? They come in a lovely folder, here we have it, and the first thing you get are the guidelines on how to use them. Full details of how to, step by step, take a client through the Core Needs intervention. There is one thing we ask you to do, and that's cut them out yourself. First of all, you do get 2 copies of each laminate, but first of all, take a photocopy because you probably need more than 2 sets. You'll find as you're working with clients that you do need another couple of sets possibly. So take a copy, a photocopy of these and laminate them if you can. But you get 2 laminates of each set of cards right through to the full 26. And there's the green label cards and the pink adult cards, the childhood and adult cards, all come in a nice pack for you to cut out listening to your favourite music, one nice relaxing evening, and there you have your set of cards ready to work with your clients. Full details of our website is on the screen now, where you can go to book the Core Needs cards, pay online, and they'll be with you hopefully in 3 or 4 days.